Ayan stood on the edge of a tall building. The wind was cold. The city lights below looked small. His hands were shaking. No one saw him. No one heard his silent pain. Everyone thought Ayan was strong, a dreamer, a fighter, but deep inside, he was tired. Tired of failing. Tired of trying. This time, he had lost everything. Just 1 month ago, Ayan had started a business with all his savings. It was a small online shop. He had hope in his heart and fire in his eyes. But the business failed in just 15 days. No sales, no support. And worst of all, he borrowed money from his mother. Now even she looked at him differently. "You always start things without thinking," she had said. "You never finish anything." Those words hurt more than the failure. This wasn't the first time Ayan failed. He had failed in college. He failed in job interviews. He failed in friendships. Every time he stood up, life pushed him back harder. People started calling him unlucky, lazy, careless. Even he started believing it. And now, here he was, standing on the rooftop of an old building, thinking of ending it all. "Maybe I'm just not meant for this world," he whispered. He looked up at the night sky. It was silent, like his heart, but just as he took one small step forward, a voice called out from behind. "Jumping will not fix anything." Ayan turned quickly. An old man stood behind him, tall, calm, with eyes that saw everything. Who are you?" Ayan asked, surprised. "I'm just someone who also stood on a rooftop once," the old man said. They sat on a nearby bench. Ayan didn't say much, but the old man spoke slowly, like someone who had seen pain and survived it. "Most people don't fail because they're stupid," he said. "They fail because they carry the wrong attitude." Ayan didn't understand. "I tried everything," he said. "Jobs, business, even friends. Nothing worked. I just have bad luck." The old man smiled sadly. "No, boy, you don't have bad luck. You have bad thoughts. You carry pain like a badge. You expect failure." Ayan looked at him, confused. "What are you trying to say?" The old man opened a small notebook and gave it to Ayan. It had only one sentence on the first page. "Your attitude writes your future." "That's all?" Ayan asked. "Yes. This one line can change everything, if you truly understand it," the man replied. Then he stood up and walked away. "Wait, what do I do with this?" Ayan called out. The man looked back and said, "Start with one small promise. For the next 30 days, don't complain. Don't blame. Don't doubt yourself. Just once, try living with the right attitude." And then he disappeared into the night. Ayan sat on that bench for a long time. His heart was still heavy, but something about that old man and that line in the notebook kept playing in his mind. Your attitude writes your future. He looked at the city again. Same lights, same noise, same problems. But maybe, just maybe, he could change how he looked at it all. He stood up, took a deep breath, and walked down the stairs. The next morning, Ayan woke up with a small goal in mind. No complaining, no blaming, no doubting. He burned. A toast by mistake. He just laughed. The bus was late. He stayed calm. A friend ignored his message. He smiled and said, "Maybe they're busy." It was hard. His mind kept pulling him back to sadness. But every time he repeated the same line, "My attitude will write my future." That night, he wrote in the notebook, Day 1. "I survived without breaking down. It was hard, but I didn't complain. That's something." And for the first time in many weeks, he fell asleep with a little peace in his heart. But what Ayan didn't know was, this small step had already started a big change. The old man would return. New challenges were waiting, and a truth Ayan never expected was about to come to light Ayan woke up before sunrise. The notebook from last night was still beside his pillow. He picked it up, touched the words gently. Your attitude writes your future. It still didn't make complete sense. But it made him feel something. Hope, maybe. He got ready, skipped breakfast, and went to the same rooftop again, the place where everything almost ended. But this time he came with a new question. Who was that old man? He waited for 2 hours. Cold wind brushed his face. But the man didn't appear. Just when he was about to leave, he noticed a small paper stuck on the bench. In bold letters, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. 7 p.m., Central Park, bench 6. Ayan smiled slightly. Was this real, or a strange game? Still, something inside him whispered, "Go!" At 7 p.m. sharp, Ayan reached Central Park. The lamps were glowing softly. The sky was turning orange. Children were playing. Couples were walking. And there he was, the old man, sitting on bench 6, feeding birds. Ayan walked up to him. "I came," he said simply. The old man looked at him and nodded. "I knew you would." They sat silently for a moment. Then the man asked, "Do you still want answers?" Ayan nodded. "All right," the man said. "Then listen carefully. I won't say this again." He leaned forward, looked Ayan straight in the eyes, and said, "Your failure is not your enemy. Your thoughts are. You lose before the world beats you. You lose when your own mind says you can't." Ayan stayed silent. The words hit him hard. The old man took out 3 stones from his pocket, 1 black, 1 gray, 1 white. He placed them on the bench. "These are your thoughts," he explained. "The black one is doubt. The gray one is fear. The white one is belief. Every day, your mind will throw these at you. Whichever stone you catch becomes your attitude." Ayan stared at the stones. Simple, but powerful. The man continued. "You can't stop the black or gray stones from coming, but you can choose to catch the white one every time." Ayan felt quiet inside, like a door in his mind had just opened. He asked, "But how do I catch the right one? I'm not that strong." The man smiled. "You don't need to be strong. You need to be aware. Each time you feel fear, say, 'I see you, but I choose belief today.' Each time you feel doubt, say, 'You are not my truth.' And each time you feel like giving up, say, 'This is a test, and I will pass it.'" Ayan wrote these lines in his notebook. Suddenly the man stood up. "That's enough for today," he said. "Remember, don't search for success outside. Build it inside." "But wait," Ayan said. "Who are you? Why are you helping me?" The man looked up at the stars and said, "Because once I had no one, and I know what it feels like to be forgotten." And just like that, he walked away into the dark. That night, Ayan couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the 3 stones, about how easily his own thoughts had fooled him all these years. Maybe his failure wasn't the end. Maybe it was just the beginning. The next morning, he got a call from a small design company. "We saw your old online store," the lady on the phone said. "Your work was honest. Not perfect, but it had heart. Would you like to join us as an intern?" Ayan was shocked. He had almost forgotten that he still had a small portfolio website online, and now someone had noticed it. He said yes. Day 3 of the challenge had begun. He entered the new office, small but full of positive people. He was nervous, unsure, but every time fear touched him, he whispered, "I choose belief today," and somehow, that changed everything. People smiled back. He got his first task, and by evening, the manager said, "You've got good energy. Keep it up." That night, Ayan went to Central Park again. The old man was there, as always. "I got An internship, Ayan said with a smile. Someone saw my website. The old man didn't seem surprised. That's what belief does, he said. It makes others see you, the real you. Then he handed Ayan another small paper. On it was written, "True strength is not in muscles. It is in the ability to stay positive when everything feels negative." I unfolded the paper and kept it in his notebook. He had a feeling this journey was only beginning. And the old man? He wasn't just a stranger anymore. He was the voice Ayan had been missing all along. Ayan woke up to a sound he hadn't heard in weeks. His own alarm clock. He had promised himself he would try. Not just one day, not just a week, but for 30 days straight. No complaining, no blaming, no doubting. This was the challenge the old man had given him. And this was day 4. As he got dressed for his second day at the new internship, he looked in the mirror. Same face, same eyes. But something felt different. He whispered to himself, "You're not broken. You're becoming." At the office, Ayan tried to stay positive. His first task of the day was small: organize some files and make a report. But as he worked, he made a mistake. He saved the wrong version of a document and accidentally deleted an important file. His heart dropped. The team leader, Priya, called him over. "What happened, Ayan?" she asked. Her voice was calm, but her eyes looked serious. I made a mistake," Ayan said. "I'm really sorry." He waited for anger, disappointment, maybe even a warning. But Priya looked at him and said something unexpected. "It's okay. Just make sure you learn from it. Don't repeat it." Ayan stood there, stunned. No shouting, no insults. He realized this was the kind of place he had always dreamed of, where people corrected you without crushing you. That night, he sat in the park again, waiting for the old man. The old man arrived slowly, carrying a warm cup of tea. "I made a mistake today," Ayan said as he took a sip. "Good," the old man replied. Ayan blinked. "Good?" "Yes," he smiled, "because mistakes are signs you're trying. Failure is only bad when you stop learning." Ayan smiled softly. "I didn't complain today, but it was hard." The man nodded. Hard doesn't mean impossible. Then, he handed Ayan a small note that read, "You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present, with the right attitude." The next few days tested Ayan more than he expected. One day his bus broke down and he was late. Another day, a coworker made fun of his old clothes. He felt old doubts trying to come back, but every time he repeated in his mind, "I choose belief today. This is a test, and I will pass it." On day 8, something amazing happened. Thies company held a new ideas meeting where even interns were allowed to share their thoughts. Ayan was scared at first. His voice was shaking. His hands were cold. But he stood up and shared a small idea for improving the company's website. The room was quiet for a moment. Then Priya smiled and said, "That's a smart suggestion. Let's test it." Ayan couldn't believe it. People were listening to him, really listening. Later that evening, in the park, he told the old man everything. "You see," the old man said, "when your attitude changes, people don't just hear your words, they feel your energy." Ayan asked, "How do you know all this? Were you always like this?" The man looked away for a moment. "No," he said softly. "I was once like you, lost, angry, full of pain. But pain taught me something, that the world outside will only change when the world inside does." Days turned into weeks. By day 15, Ayan had become more confident, more calm. He smiled more. He helped others in the office. He even called an old friend to say sorry. But just when things felt steady, a storm arrived. On day 18, Ayan received a call from his mother. Ayan she said, her voice heavy. "We got a legal notice from the bank. Your small loan from last year, remember that? The one you didn't close properly? We have to pay it now." Ayan's face turned pale. He had completely forgotten about it. "How much?" he asked. 50,000 rupees. Ayan sat down, silent. He didn't have that kind of money. Old fear returned. Old guilt came rushing in, but he closed his eyes and whispered, "This is a test, and I will pass it." That night, he didn't go to the park. But the next evening, the old man found him sitting on a bench outside his office. "You didn't come yesterday?" the man said. "I felt ashamed," Ayan replied. "I made another mistake. My past came back." The man sat beside him. "You think growth means no more mistakes?" he asked. "True growth means handling mistakes without breaking again." He gave Ayan a coin. It was old, scratched, and dull. "What do you see?" the old man asked. "A useless coin," Ayan said. The man rubbed the coin with a cloth. Slowly, the metal started to shine. "Sometimes," he said, "you just need to clean the dirt off your worth." Ayan looked at the coin, then at the sky. Dark clouds were gathering. Rain was coming, but he wasn't afraid anymore. He walked home that night with a new plan. He would work extra hours. He would take on small freelance tasks. He would ask for help if needed, because this time he wasn't going to run from his past. He opened his notebook and wrote, "Day 18. The storm came, but I stood still. This attitude, it's becoming my strength." It was a quiet morning. Too quiet. Ayan stood in front of the mirror, brushing his hair slowly. But he wasn't really looking at his hair. He was looking into his own eyes. Searching. For something? Was it strength? Was it truth? Or was it fear? He didn't know. The bank issue was still hanging over his head. 50,000 rupees. A loan he forgot. A mistake that had returned like a shadow. He had started taking small freelance jobs online, writing, designing, even helping with basic editing. Every rupee he earned went straight to a box on his desk, but it wasn't enough. And now, the BI. Cracks were beginning to show. At work, Ayan was still doing his best. But inside, pressure was building. One afternoon during lunch, Priya noticed his pale face. "You okay?" she asked. Ayan forced a smile. "Yeah, just tired." But she didn't look convinced. That evening, Ayan didn't go to the park. He sat in his room, staring at the box of money. He opened it, counted again. 12,750 rupees. Still too far. He felt the old thoughts returning, the ones he had fought so hard to leave behind. "You're always behind. You're not enough. This world doesn't wait for failures." He threw the money box across the room in frustration. The sound of coins hitting the floor echoed in the silence. Then, the mirror broke. A piece of it cracked. From the edge. Not completely shattered, but the line was clear, like a scar. Ayan sat on the floor next to the broken box, coins around him, and then, like a child, he cried. Not because of the money. Not because of the mirror, but because he felt like he was breaking too. The next evening, he finally went back to the park. The old man was waiting, sitting in silence, as if he knew Ayan would come. "I broke the mirror," Ayan said. The old man didn't react. "By accident?" he asked. Ayan shook his head. "No, out of anger, out of shame." He expected the man to scold him, but instead, the old man smiled gently. "Good," he said. Ayan looked up, confused. "Good?" "Yes," the man said, "because broken mirrors show us who we really are." They sat on the bench for a long time, quiet. Then the man pulled out a small piece of paper and handed it to Ayan. It read, Pain doesn't break you. Hiding pain does. Ayan read the line twice. Then he folded the paper and put it in his pocket. I've been hiding it, he whispered. I pretend I'm okay, but I'm not. The old man looked at him kindly. And yet, you're still here, still fighting. That means you're not weak, Ayan. It means you're human. The next day, Ayan made a decision. He went to Priya during break. I need to say something, he said. She looked up from her desk. Sure. What is it? I've been going through something personal. A financial problem, he said slowly. It's affecting my focus. I'm trying to manage. But I wanted to be honest. Priya listened carefully. Then she nodded. I appreciate your honesty, Ayan, she said. If you ever need to talk or need support, we're a team. That small reply gave him something he hadn't felt in a long time. Relief. That evening, the old man gave him a new task. Write a letter, he said. To who? Ayan asked. To the version of yourself who gave up, the man said. Ayan looked surprised. Why? Because you need to tell him that you're not him anymore. That night, Ayan sat at his desk. He took a blank paper and started writing. Dear broken me, you thought it was over. You believed no one cared. You were ready to end it all. But here I am, still breathing, still standing, still trying. I'm not angry at you. I understand you. You were tired. You were in pain. But I want you to know, you were wrong. Life didn't leave me behind. It was just waiting for me to wake up. I've met pain. I've met fear. But I've also met courage. And now I know the mirror didn't break me. It showed me the cracks I needed to fix. From the version of you who refuses to give up. Ayan folded the letter and placed it inside his notebook, next to the other messages from the old man, and for the first time in a long time, he looked in the cracked mirror and smiled, because now he wasn't afraid of what he saw. The next day, something unexpected happened. Priya called him into her office. There's a part-time paid position opening soon, she said. I've recommended your name. You've earned it. Ayan stared at her wide-eyed. I don't know what to say. Just keep being you, she said. You're doing better than you think. Later that evening, as he walked to the park, his feet felt light. He didn't just feel alive, he felt strong. And when the old man saw him coming, he smiled and said, the mirror broke. But the man didn't. Ayan's steps were lighter now. His eyes had a little shine. For the first time in months, he felt like life was moving forward. The part-time job offer gave him hope. He started saving more money. He even sent a small amount to his mother, who cried on the phone with joy. Every evening, he still went to the park to meet the old man. It had become their ritual: tea, silence, and stories. One evening, the old man looked serious. You've done well, Ayan, he said. But now, the real test is coming. Ayan frowned. What kind of test? The old man took a deep breath. A test that will shake your belief in people, in yourself, maybe even in me. Ayan laughed nervously. What does that mean? But the old man didn't answer. He just sipped his tea and stared into the distance. 2 days later, it began. Ayan came to the office early. He had prepared a report with extra care. But when he reached his desk, something felt wrong. His folder was open. Some papers were missing. He checked again. His final draft, the one he spent 3 days working on, was gone. He asked around, but no one knew anything. An hour later, the team leader, Priya, called a meeting. One of the interns, Ravi, stood in front of everyone, holding Ayan's idea as his own. He had copied the report and put his name on it. Ayan froze. His heart pounded. looked at Priya. She was praising Ravi for his fresh idea. Ayan wanted to scream, to fight, to cry, but he stayed silent. That evening, he sat in the park, tears in his eyes. The old man arrived and saw his face. They stole it. Ayan said softly, "My idea, my effort, and I said nothing." The old man nodded slowly. "Why didn't you speak?" "Because I was scared," Ayan whispered. "What if no one believes me? What if I look jealous or small?" The old man didn't reply right. Away, then he said, "A thief may steal your work, but he can never steal your journey, your growth, your truth." The next day, Ayan stayed quiet. He didn't confront Ravi. He didn't go to Priya. But inside, something was burning. That night, he opened his notebook and wrote, "I've changed my attitude, but has the world changed too? Maybe the real test is not how I act when life is easy, but how I respond when life is unfair." 3 days passed. Ravi was enjoying his fake glory. But the truth has a strange power. It doesn't stay hidden forever. One evening, Priya called Ayan to her office. "I was going through old files," she said. "Your writing style. It matches the report," Ravi submitted. "I've also seen your earlier drafts in the system. Did you write the original report?" Ayan looked at her. He wanted to lie, to say no and avoid trouble, but he finally spoke his truth. "Yes, I wrote it." Priya didn't look shocked. She just nodded. "Thank you for your honesty," she said. The next morning, Ravi was quietly asked to leave. No loud drama, no announcement, just silent justice. And Ayan? He was offered a small promotion, a permanent part-time role with better pay. That evening, he returned to the park. The old man was already there, smiling. "You didn't scream, you didn't break, but still." "The truth found its way," he said. Ayan smiled back. "I was ready to give up again, but I remembered your words." The old man poured tea into 2 cups. "You faced the fire," he said, "and instead of burning, you became gold." But the fire wasn't done. 3 days later, Ayan's mother called again, this time with fear in her voice. "Ayan, your uncle came. He wants to take your father's old land. He's saying you signed some papers last year. But you didn't, right?" Ayan was shocked. "No, I didn't. Never." But the papers said otherwise. His uncle had forged his signature. If they couldn't prove it, they would lose the land, the only property their family had left. Ayan rushed to the lawyer's office after work. He showed ID proof, old records, and explained everything. But the process would take time and money. Again, money. That night, he didn't meet the old man. He sat on a rooftop alone, looking at the stars. Why did life test the same people again and again? He was tired. But then he remembered the broken mirror. He remembered the coin. He remembered the fire, and he whispered, "If I burn bright, but I will not disappear." The next evening, he went to the park. The old man was waiting. "I'm losing the land," Ayan said. The man simply nodded. "I don't know what to do anymore." "You do," the old man said. "You're just scared again." Ayan looked up. "Then what's the point of all this, if every step forward comes with pain?" The man pointed to a tree nearby, strong, tall, full of green leaves. "See that tree?" he asked. "It only grew this big because of storms. No storm, no roots. No roots, no strength." Ayan didn't reply, but he understood. The world was not fair. But he didn't have to be weak. He would fight for the land. He would work longer, save more. He would ask for help, even if it hurt his pride, because he wasn't the same boy who once wanted to quit life. He was becoming something else. He opened his notebook and wrote, Day 26. The fire came. But this time, I didn't run. I faced it. I grew through it. I may bend, but I will not break. Ayan had learned to live with storms. He had stopped expecting life to be easy. But deep inside, he was still waiting for one good moment, one big break, and then one evening, it happened. It was raining. Ayan sat near the window, listening to the drops. He was writing in his notebook when his phone rang. The number was unknown. He almost didn't answer. But some quiet voice, told him to pick up. "Hello? Is this Ayan Khan?" a woman's voice asked. "Yes. Who's speaking?" "I'm calling from Rise Creative Studio," she said. "We came across your online portfolio. Some of your writing caught our attention." Ayan sat up straight. "We're starting a new emotional web series," the woman continued. "And we're looking for fresh writers with a real voice. Would you be interested in a paid trial project?" For a few seconds, Ayan couldn't speak. His heart was racing. His hands were shaking. "Yes," he finally said. "Yes, I'd be honored." The next morning, he woke up earlier than usual. He took extra care with his clothes, even though he was working from home. He wrote the sample script with full focus, pouring in every piece of pain, strength, and truth he had lived. He didn't fake the emotions. He didn't copy others. He simply wrote what he knew, and this time, he felt proud of what he had created. 2 days later, the call came again. "We loved it," the woman said. "The director cried while reading it. He said, 'This boy writes with his scars.'" Ayan smiled. He had never heard a compliment like that before. They offered him a short contract, 3 months, remote, and enough pay to finally clear his loan and help his family. He ran to the park that evening. The old man was sitting with his usual quiet smile. "You look different," he said. "I got a call," Ayan said, still breathless. "A real one, from a studio. They're paying me to write stories." The old man didn't look surprised. He just nodded slowly. "And why do you think they chose you?" "Because I've lived what I write," Ayan replied. "I didn't just imagine pain. I survived it." The old man's eyes softened. "Then your words carry truth, and truth always finds its way." But the fire wasn't done yet. Just when things were becoming better, his mother fell sick. It started with a fever. Then came weakness. One night she fainted. The village doctor advised immediate tests, but they needed to take her to the city. And that meant travel, tests, and money. Ayan didn't think twice. He used part of his first payment to bring her to the city hospital. For 3 days, he stayed by her side, barely sleeping. On the 4th day, the reports arrived. It wasn't too serious, just an infection. Treatable. But if ignored, it could have been dangerous. Ayan closed his eyes and said a silent thank you. Later that night, while his mother slept, he sat outside the hospital. He pulled out his notebook and wrote, "I thought success would feel like flying, but it feels more like walking through fire with my head up. Every step burns, but every step moves forward." He looked at the moon and smiled. Days passed. His mother recovered. His job at the studio went well. The lawyer called. The land case was moving in their favor. Even Priya noticed the change in him. "You look stronger," she said one day. Ayan smiled. "I feel stronger." But then came the second call, the one that shook him deeply. He was walking home from the office. When his phone buzzed again, it was the old man's voice, but weaker. "Ayan, I'm not well. Can you come?" He rushed to the park. The old man was sitting on the bench, breathing heavily. "I didn't tell you before," he said softly. "I have a heart condition, and today, it's bad." Ayan's eyes widened. "Let me call a doctor." "No," the man stopped him. "Just sit with me. Talk to me." Ayan sat down quickly, holding his hand. "I need to tell you something," the old man said. "A secret." He pulled out a small envelope from his coat. Inside it was a letter and a photo. The photo was old, black and white, of a young boy with tears in his eyes. "That's me," the man said. "I was you once, broken, lost, alone." Ayan listened quietly. "This park, this bench, this is where I rebuilt myself. And when I saw you sitting here, I knew you were on the same path." The old man took a deep breath. "But now it's time for me to go. I've passed my fire. And you're just getting started." Tears filled Ayan's eyes. "You can't go. You taught me how to live." The old man smiled. "No, Ayan, you taught yourself. I just reminded you who you were." The next day, the old man passed away peacefully in his sleep. Ayan went to his small room. It was simple. A few books, a kettle, and a chair near the window. But on the wall, there was one thing. A quote written in bold letters. "Be the voice you needed when you were silent." Ayan read it again and again. And then, he knew what he... Ayan stood at the edge of something new. The studio project was going well. His writing was being noticed. Even strangers on social media began sharing his quotes. People said, "This writer understands pain. His words speak to broken hearts." But Ayan didn't let it go to his head. He remembered the nights he cried alone, the days he ate once and slept less. The old man's quiet lessons still echoed in his heart. One evening, as he finished a story draft, his phone buzzed again. It was a message from the studio. "Ayan, we have a live event next month, a storytelling night. The director wants you to speak on stage. 15 minutes, your story, your voice." Ayan froze. Speak? In front of people? He had always been behind the screen, behind words, not in front of faces. He paced around the room. What if I mess up? What if I stutter? What if I forget everything? But then he remembered something. The old man once said, "The fire that burns you can also light the way for others." Maybe it was time to speak, not as someone perfect, but as someone real. He agreed. For days, he practiced alone in his room. He stood in front of the mirror, telling his story out loud. He talked about pain, about fear, about falling and getting up. Sometimes he cried while practicing. Sometimes he smiled through the tears. The night of the event arrived. The auditorium was filled with lights, cameras, and faces. Famous creators were there, big names, big pressure. Backstage, Ayan's hands were shaking. He held a small photo of his parents. He whispered, "This voice isn't just mine. It carries everyone who couldn't speak." His name was called. He walked onto the stage. The lights were bright, too bright. For a moment, he forgot everything. But then he looked up and imagined the park bench, the old man's calm eyes, the sound of falling rain. He took a deep breath and spoke. "My name is Ayan," he began, his voice soft, but steady. "And I want to tell you a story, not just mine, but maybe yours too." He spoke about losing hope, about feeling invisible in a loud world, about sleeping hungry and smiling anyway. He shared how one stranger changed his life, not with money, not with power, but with presence. He said, "I was not born brave. I learned to be brave, one tear, one scar at a time. And if you're sitting out there feeling like you're not enough, remember, you're still here, and that means your story isn't over." The hall was silent. Not a cough, not a whisper, just hearts listening. When he finished, the crowd stood up, applause, long, loud, and real. Some people cried, some clapped, and one by one people came to him backstage. A young girl said, "I was planning to give up. Your words stopped me." An old man said, "You reminded me of my younger self. Thank you." And one producer said, "Let's work together. You have something the world needs." That night, Ayan sat alone on his rooftop. He looked at the stars and whispered, "They heard me, not because he was loud, but because he was honest. The next few weeks moved fast. He started a YouTube channel. He shared short emotional stories, some fictional, some real. Within a month, one of his videos hit 1 million views. People commented from all over the world. "You saved me tonight." This story felt like my life. "You made me cry, and somehow I feel lighter now," Ayan didn't chase fame. He chased connection. But life always finds a way to test again. One day, he got a call from the village. His father, who had been silent, absent, and broken, was missing. He had walked out of the house and hadn't returned. Ayan took the next bus to his hometown. He searched for 2 days, in hospitals, temples, old streets. On the 3rd day, he found his father sitting near an old well. He looked thinner, weaker, but his eyes were full of tears. Ayan sat beside him. "I'm sorry," his father whispered. "I was a coward. I ran away from pain, and I left you to face it all alone." Ayan didn't say anything for a long time. Then he replied, "I used to hate you, but now I understand. We all break differently." They sat in silence, but it wasn't empty silence. It was healing. Ayan brought his father back to the city for care. They didn't fix everything overnight, but they started talking. Really talking. After years of silence, Ayan wrote in his notebook, "Sometimes, the people who hurt us the most are also the ones carrying the deepest pain. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's freedom." His channel continued to grow. He was invited to speak in colleges, on podcasts, even in other countries. But he still visited the old park, sat on the same bench, closed his eyes, and remembered where it all began. Because no matter how far he went, Ayan never forgot the broken boy inside, and that boy had finally found his voice. Ayan had started as a silent boy in a broken village. Now, people from across the world called him the boy with the healing voice, but deep down, he was still the same. Still that boy who once stared at the stars and asked, "Will anyone ever hear me?" It had been 1 year since his first stage talk. His YouTube channel had crossed 2 million subscribers. His emotional stories were being shared by schools, therapists, NGOs, and families. People didn't just watch his videos, they felt them. They cried with them, they healed through them. But Ayan had one more dream. Not for likes, not for awards. He wanted to build something that would last even after him. One afternoon, he sat with Priya at a small cafe. "I've been thinking," he said. "I want to open a small foundation." She smiled. "What kind?" "A safe space," he said, "for broken people, young boys who never cry, girls who never get heard. I want to teach them how to write, how to speak, how to feel again." Priya looked at him, her eyes soft. "You're not just healing yourself, Ayan," she whispered. "You're healing the world." He called it the Silent Voice Project. It started in one rented room with 6 students, 3 boys, 3 girls, each one carrying a silent storm. One had lost her parents, one had been bullied for years, one had never spoken in class, not once. Ayan didn't start with grammar or vocabulary. He started with silence. He let them sit, breathe, feel. And then slowly he said, "You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be honest. Write what hurts, speak what's true, and that will touch hearts." Weeks passed. The students began writing, then sharing, then crying. Not from pain, but from release. And then they smiled. In just 6 months, the Silent Voice Project had over 50 students. Some from villages, some from broken families, some from shiny cities but empty homes. All of them had one thing in common. They had something to say, but no one had listened. until now. One evening, Ayan got a letter. No name, just words. I watched your first video the night I was planning to end my life, but your story stopped me. You made me feel seen. I'm still here because of you. Thank you. Ayan stared at the letter for a long time. Then he folded it and kept it in his notebook. Not for fame, not for ego, but as a reminder. One honest voice can save a silent life. He started traveling, not as a celebrity, but as a messenger. He went to schools with no benches, villages with no internet. He sat with orphans, widows, prisoners, and listened. He didn't always speak. Sometimes just being there was enough. One old woman in a wheelchair once told him, "You are the first person who looked at me, like I mattered." Ayan began writing a book. Not an autobiography, but a guide for people who had lost their light. He called it, "Your Voice Matters, Even When It Shakes." When it launched, it became a bestseller, but the true success came in messages. A father wrote, "I finally told my son I was proud of him." A teacher wrote, "I stopped yelling and started listening." A 14-year-old girl wrote, "I don't hate my scars anymore, I understand them now." And then came the day he had never expected. He was invited to speak at an international conference on youth and healing. Countries, cultures, cameras. But Ayan walked in like he always did, simply, quietly, humbly. He stood on that grand stage and said, "I was never the loudest. I was just someone who felt too much. I thought that made me weak, but it became my greatest gift." He spoke for 20 minutes. When he finished, there was silence again, but this time it was sacred. A kind of silence that happens when hearts are deeply touched. Later that night, he sat alone again on a rooftop, this time in another country, but the stars looked the same. He took out his notebook, now old, filled, worn. He wrote one final page. "This is not my ending. This is just my turn, and soon someone else will speak, someone who's hurting now, but who will rise, like I did." 5 years later, the Silent Voice Project had grown into 5 centers. One in Ayan's old village, one in the city, one in a shelter home, and 2 in different countries. The first 6 students? Now mentors. One of them stood on a stage and said, "I was the girl who never spoke. Today, I'm helping 100 others find their voice, because one man believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself." People asked about Ayan. Where was he now? Some said he was still writing. Some said he had gone away to start something new. But one thing was clear. The boy who once sat in silence had touched millions, not with noise, but with truth, not with perfection, but with presence. In Nai, the park where it all began, on the old bench, there is now a small sign, dedicated to Ayan, the voice we didn't know we needed.